Dr. Lisa Grant stared at the screen in her small office aboard the Meridian Research Station. The blue glow from the display lit up her tired face as she read the same message for the 5th time. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she barely noticed. The words on the screen changed everything. The message came from somewhere beyond the outer rim of human space. It carried the official seal of something called the Galactic Council. Lisa had never heard of them before today, but the translation software made their meaning very clear. They wanted humanity to stop expanding into space. They wanted all human colonies to pack up and go home to Earth. They gave humanity 30 days to comply. Lisa reached for her communication device and called Captain Jake Morrison on the patrol ship Aurora. Jake was a good man, someone she trusted, to handle bad news without panicking. When his face appeared on the screen, she could see he was on the bridge of his ship. "Lisa, what's wrong?" "You look like you've seen a ghost," Jake said. His brown hair was messy, and his uniform looked like he had been sleeping in it. "Jake, I need you to sit down. I just received a message that changes everything we know about our place in the galaxy." Lisa took a deep breath. "We're not alone out here, and the neighbors are not happy about our expansion." She sent the message to Jake's ship. She watched his face change as he read it. His jaw got tight, and his eyes narrowed. Jake had been a soldier before becoming a ship captain. He knew what a threat looked like. "How many of them are there?" Jake asked. "The message mentions 12 different alien species. They call themselves the Galactic Council. They say they've been watching us for decades." Lisa pulled up the star charts on her screen. "Jake, they know about every human colony. They know about our military bases. They know about our research stations. They've been studying us this whole time." Jake ran his hand through his hair. 30 days. That's not enough time to evacuate 17 colonies, even if we wanted to, which we don't. The message says they'll use military force if we don't comply. They're calling us aggressive and dangerous. They say our expansion threatens galactic stability. Lisa felt anger building in her chest. They think we're some kind of threat just because we're exploring space and building new homes. "Send this message to Admiral Peter Kane immediately. He needs to know about this right away." Jake stood up from his chair. "I'm heading back to Earth. This is bigger than anything we've dealt with before." 3 days later, Admiral Kane sat in the war room deep beneath the Colonial Defense Command headquarters. The room was full of officers and scientists, all trying to understand what humanity was facing. The walls were covered with star charts and tactical displays showing the positions of human colonies and patrol ships. Commander Amy Jackson stood at the front of the room, pointing to a large display screen. She was the military's best strategic planner, and her reputation for clear thinking had earned her a place at the Admiral's side. "The Galactic Council has been watching us for 50 years, Amy said. "They've seen our industrial growth, our military development, and our colonial expansion. They're afraid of what we might become if we continue growing at this rate." Admiral Kane was an old man who had served in the military for 40 years. His gray hair and weathered face showed the stress of command, but his eyes were still sharp. "What do we know about their military capabilities?" "Very little," Amy replied. The message included some basic information about their member species. The Velkari Empire seems to be the dominant military power. The Zephyrians control most of the trade routes. The crystalline hegemony has the most advanced technology. Beyond that, we're working with incomplete data. Dr. Alex Johnson, the head of military research, spoke up from his seat near the back of the room. "Admiral, we've been analyzing the transmission itself. The technology they use to send this message is at least a century ahead of our best systems. If their weapons are as advanced as their communications, we could be in serious trouble." Jakey. Morrison entered the room and took a seat near the Admiral. He had arrived from the Meridian station that morning, bringing Dr. Grant's complete analysis of the alien message. "Sir, I've been thinking about their timeline. 30 days is barely enough time to send messages to all our colonies, let alone evacuate them. Either they don't understand how long these operations take or they don't care." "They don't care," Admiral Kane said firmly. "This isn't a negotiation. It's an ultimatum. They expect us to abandon everything we've built and crawl back to Earth with our tails between our legs. Captain Steve Rogers, commander of the destroyer Falcon, leaned forward in his chair. Admiral, what if we refuse? What if we tell them that humanity doesn't back down from threats? Then we go to war with 12 alien civilizations that have been controlling this galaxy for thousands of years, Amy said. Our entire fleet consists of maybe 200 ships. We don't know how many they have, but it's probably a lot more than that. The room fell silent. Everyone understood the odds they were facing. Humanity had been in space for less than a century. These aliens had been building their power for millennia. The technological gap alone might be impossible to overcome. Admiral Kane stood up and walked to the star chart on the wall. He looked at the small dots representing human colonies scattered across space. Each dot represented millions of people who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. Farmers, engineers, scientists, and families who had sacrificed everything for the dream of expansion. Gentlemen and ladies, the Admiral said, turning back to face the room. In 3 days, President Helen Carter will address the United Earth Assembly. She'll tell them about this ultimatum and ask for their decision. But I want you to know where I stand. He walked back to his chair but remained standing. I've spent my entire career protecting human interests in space. I've seen what our people can accomplish when they're free to explore and build. I've watched colonies grow from nothing into thriving worlds. I've seen the human spirit push beyond every limit we thought existed. The Admiral's voice got stronger. These aliens think they can intimidate us into giving up everything we've worked for. They think we'll abandon our colonies and our dreams just because they have bigger ships and older technology. They think we'll surrender without a fight. He looked around the room at each officer. They're wrong. Humanity doesn't surrender. We adapt. We innovate. We find ways to win even when the odds are impossible. If they want to stop human expansion, they're going to have to come and take it from us. 3 days later, President Carter stood before the United Earth Assembly. The chamber was packed with representatives from every human colony and military district. The president was a small woman with gray hair, but her voice carried the authority of someone who had led humanity through difficult times before. Fellow citizens, she began, we face a choice that will define the future of our species. We can accept the demands of the Galactic Council and retreat to Earth, abandoning our colonies and our dreams of expansion. Or we can stand firm and defend our right to explore the galaxy. The chamber was completely silent. Every person in the room understood the weight of this moment. The choice is clear, President Carter continued. Humanity will not bow to alien demands. We will not abandon our people. We will not surrender our future. If the Galactic Council wants to stop human expansion, they will have to face the full strength and determination of the human race. The applause was thunderous. Representatives stood and cheered, showing their support for resistance. In that moment, humanity chose war over surrender. The die was cast, and there would be no turning back. 3 weeks had passed since President Carter's speech, and the Galactic Council was getting impatient. Fleet Admiral Quintessa of the Crystalline Hegemony stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the blue swirl of hyperspace through the main viewing screen. Behind her ship followed 49 others representing the combined might of 12 alien civilizations. The fleet was impressive by any measure. Massive dreadnoughts from the Velkari Empire bristled with energy weapons. Sleek cruisers from the Zephyrian Trade Federation moved like silver sharks through space. The Council had assembled this force to make a point. They expected the humans to take one look at their ships and surrender immediately. Admiral, we are approaching the human colony world they call New Dakota, reported Navigation Officer Kextar. His 4 arms moved quickly across his control panel as he calculated their arrival coordinates. Quintessa nodded her crystalline head. The light from the bridge displays reflected off her translucent skin, creating patterns of color that shifted with her emotions. Right now, those patterns showed confidence and mild amusement. Signal the fleet. We will drop out of hyperspace in formation. I want the humans to see exactly what they are facing. On New Dakota, Colonel Ryan Phillips watched his tactical display with growing concern. The orbital defense platforms around the planet had detected the incoming alien fleet while it was still in hyperspace. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the human databases. "Sir, they're coming out of hyperspace. Now," reported Lieutenant Tom Baker from his sensor station. 50 ships ranging from cruiser to dreadnought class. They're arranging themselves in attack formation. Colonel Phillips activated his communications system. "Governor Hayes, this is Defense Command. The alien fleet has arrived. Begin immediate evacuation of all civilian populations to the underground shelters." Governor Linda Hayes was already coordinating the evacuation from her office in the capital city. She had been preparing for this moment since the ultimatum arrived. "Understood, Colonel. How long do we have?" "Unknown, ma'am. They haven't made any aggressive moves yet, but they're clearly here to make a statement." Phillips looked at his own forces displayed on the tactical screen. 12 human ships orbited New Dakota, along with 6 orbital defense platforms. Against 50 alien vessels, the odds were terrible, but these were his people, his home, and he would not let them be intimidated. Captain Steve Rogers commanded the destroyer Falcon, the largest ship in the New Dakota Defense Fleet. He studied the alien formation through his ship's sensors, looking for weaknesses. The alien ships were beautiful in their own way, but they moved in perfect geometric patterns. Everything was orderly, predictable, almost ceremonial. "Captain, incoming transmission from the alien flagship," reported Communications Officer Julie West. "Put it through," Rogers said. The main screen flickered, and Fleet Admiral Quintessa appeared. Her alien features were striking but cold. "When," she spoke. The translation software converted her words into clear English. "I am Fleet Admiral Quintessa of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. You have failed to comply with the Council's lawful ultimatum. Your continued presence in this system is a violation of galactic law. Surrender immediately, and your people will be relocated safely to your home system." Captain Rogers stood up from his command chair. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a face that had seen many battles. "Admiral Quintessa, this is Captain Steve Rogers of the human vessel Falcon. New Dakota is a sovereign human colony. We don't recognize the authority of your Galactic Council." The colors in Quintessa's crystalline skin shifted to show annoyance. "Captain Rogers, you are outgunned and outnumbered. Your small fleet cannot hope to stand against the combined might of the Galactic Council. I am offering you one final opportunity to surrender with honor." Rogers smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. "Admiral, I have a message for you and your council. Come and take it." The transmission ended. On the alien flagship, Quintessa turned to her tactical officer. "These humans are more foolish than our intelligence reports suggested. Begin the attack. Target their military vessels first, make it quick and clean." The Council fleet began to advance in their perfect formation. Each ship moved to its assigned position as they had practiced countless times before. Their weapons charged, and their shields activated. It was a display of overwhelming force that had terrified civilizations across the galaxy for centuries. But Captain Rogers was not terrified. He activated his fleet communication system. "All ships, this is Rogers. Execute Plan Alpha. Use the call asteroids." The human ships suddenly broke formation and scattered in different directions. Instead of trying to meet the alien fleet head-on, they raced toward the asteroid belt that surrounded New Dakota. The aliens had dismissed the asteroids as space debris, but the humans saw them as cover. Lieutenant Commander Kate Miller, commanding the cruiser Defiant, led her ship deep into the asteroid field. The Defiant was smaller and more maneuverable than the alien vessels. She could navigate between the floating rocks while the larger alien ships had to go around them. "Target the lead Valkyrie dreadnought," Miller ordered. "Hit them hard and then get behind that big asteroid cluster." The Defiant's weapons fired, sending a concentrated burst of energy into the alien ship's flank. The attack caught the Valkyrie commander completely off guard. Their shields absorbed most of the damage, but the surprise was total. Before the aliens could respond, the Defiant vanished behind a group of large asteroids. The Valkyrie ship fired back, but their weapons hit empty space. The human ship was already gone. Admiral Quintessa watched in confusion as the human ship struck from unexpected angles and then disappeared. "What are they doing? This is not how space combat is conducted," Her tactical officer, Mordex, tried to track the human vessels on his sensors. "Admiral, they are using the asteroids to break our targeting systems. Our ships are too large to follow them into the debris field." Captain Rogers brought the Falcon around behind a massive asteroid and targeted one of the Zephyrian cruisers. His weapons officer, Sergeant Mike Jones, had been waiting for this moment. "Fire all forward weapons," Rogers commanded. The Falcon's guns lit up the darkness of space. Energy beams and kinetic projectiles slammed into the Zephyrian ship's rear shields. The alien vessel had been focused on a different target and never saw the attack coming. "Direct hit, Captain," Jones reported. "Their rear shields are down, and we're seeing secondary explosions." "Good work. Take us to Point Charlie. Let's see if we can find another opening." The battle continued for 2 hours, but it was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever experienced. The humans refused to fight in the open. They struck from behind asteroids, fired at maximum range, and retreated before the aliens could coordinate a response. The alien ships tried to maintain their formation, but the humans kept hitting them from unexpected directions. Every time the Council fleet moved to attack one human ship, 2 others would appear from different angles. Commander Paul Davis, piloting the fast attack craft Thunder, managed to disable 2 alien vessels by targeting their engine systems. His ship was tiny compared to the alien dreadnoughts, but it was fast enough to avoid their return fire. As the hours passed, the alien casualties mounted. 8 Council ships had been destroyed or disabled, while the human fleet had suffered only minor damage. Admiral Quintessa could not understand how this was possible. "Admiral, recommend we withdraw and reassess," suggested her second-in-command. "These humans fight unlike any enemy we have encountered. Our standard tactics are ineffective." Quintessa's crystalline skin showed deep patterns of red and orange indicating anger and frustration. The Galactic Council had sent her to demonstrate their overwhelming superiority. Instead, she was being humiliated by a handful of primitive human vessels. "Signal the fleet. We are withdrawing to a safe distance," she finally ordered. "Prepare a full report for the Council. Our intelligence about human military capabilities was completely wrong." As the alien fleet retreated, Captain Rogers opened a channel to all human ships. "Outstanding work, everyone. We've sent them a message they won't forget. But this is just the beginning. They'll be back with more ships and better planning." Colonel Phillips watched from his command center as the alien fleet withdrew beyond the outer edge of the system. The evacuation shelters were already opening, and civilians were returning to their homes. New Dakota had survived its first test, but everyone knew the real war was yet to come. On the alien flagship, Admiral Quintessa composed her report to the Galactic Council. She had to explain how 50 advanced warships had been defeated by 12 human vessels using primitive hit-and-run tactics. The Council would not be pleased, but they needed to understand the truth about their enemy. The humans were not the weak, disorganized species the Council had expected. They were dangerous, unpredictable, and far more capable than anyone had imagined. The demonstration that was supposed to end the conflict had instead shown that humanity would not be easily defeated. The real war was about to begin. The emergency session of the Galactic Council took place in the Great Crystal Chamber on Nexus Central. 12 representatives sat around the circular table, their faces showing anger and disbelief. The holographic display in the center showed the battle results from New Dakota, and the numbers were embarrassing. High Counselor Vexhari of the Thaxian Dominion stood up, his blue skin darker than usual with rage. 50 ships defeated by 12 primitive human vessels. How is this possible? Our military commanders assured us that humanity posed no real threat. Fleet Admiral Quintessa appeared as a hologram, her crystalline form flickering slightly due to the long-range transmission. Honorable counselors, the humans fight unlike any enemy we have faced in our recorded history. They ignore all accepted rules of space combat. They use terrain we consider obstacles as weapons. They strike without warning and retreat before we can respond. Counselor Morthek of the Velkari Empire slammed his clawed hand on the table. Excuses. You had overwhelming firepower and superior numbers. How did you lose 8 ships to these upstart mammals? They are more technologically advanced than our intelligence suggested, Quintessa replied. Their ships are faster and more maneuverable than our projections indicated. Their weapons are crude but effective. Most importantly, their tactics are completely unpredictable. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Some members demanded immediate military action. Others wanted to reconsider their approach to the human problem. The unity that had held the council together for 2,000 years was starting to crack. Supreme Counselor Zarthok, the oldest member of the council, raised his hand for silence. His ancient voice carried the weight of centuries. Enough debate. The humans have rejected our ultimatum and humiliated our enforcement fleet. There is only one response available to us now. He activated the holographic display, showing star charts of human space. Red dots marked every known human colony and military installation. We will assemble the greatest fleet in galactic history. Every member species will contribute ships and crews. We will strike all human settlements simultaneously, preventing them from coordinating their defense. On Earth, General Chris Murphy walked through the bustling corridors of Fleet Command headquarters. The building had been transformed into a giant war room, with officers from every branch of the military working around the clock to prepare for the coming storm. Intelligence reports from across human space painted a grim picture. The aliens were gathering ships from every corner of the galaxy. Automated surveillance probes had detected massive fleet movements heading toward council staging areas. The numbers were staggering. "General, the latest reconnaissance data," said Colonel Sandra Lewis, handing him a data tablet. She looked tired, having worked for 36 hours straight analyzing alien fleet movements. Murphy studied the numbers. Over 300 ships were confirmed, with more arriving every day. The combined human fleet numbered less than 200 vessels, including converted merchant ships and hastily armed civilian craft. "They're planning to hit us everywhere at once," Murphy said. "Classic overwhelming force doctrine. Divide our attention and crush us before we can concentrate our defenses." "Sir, there's something else," Lewis said. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected quantum communication signals between human colonies. Someone has been building a secret communication network." Lieutenant Colonel Ben Carter entered the room at that moment, carrying a secure communication device. He was a thin man with quick eyes and the pale complexion of someone who spent most of his time underground working with classified technology. "General, I need to brief you on Project Quicksilver," Carter said. "For the past 5 years, we've been installing quantum entanglement communication systems on every human colony and military installation." Murphy's eyes widened. Quantum entanglement communication was theoretical technology that most scientists said was impossible. "You're telling me we have instant communication across the entire galaxy?" "Yes, sir. When the aliens attack, every human settlement will know about it immediately. We can coordinate our response in real time across thousands of light years." Carter activated his device, showing a network map of human space. "The aliens think they're fighting 17 separate colonies. They're actually fighting one unified defense network." Captain Nicole Brown stood on the bridge of her fast attack craft Thunder, studying the tactical display. Her ship was part of a small fleet hiding in the Vega Nebula, waiting for the alien attack to begin. The nebula's radiation would mask their presence until the right moment. "Captain, we're receiving quantum communication from Fleet Command," reported her communications Officer Ensign Gary Parker. "The alien fleet has left Nexus Central. Estimated arrival at human colonies in 6 hours." Brown nodded. Her mission was to hit the alien supply lines while their main fleet was engaged with human defenses. The Thunder and 5 other fast ships carried enough firepower to cripple an entire logistics network. On Mars, Dr. Alex Johnson worked frantically in his secret laboratory. The quantum torpedo project had been his obsession for 3 years, and now it was finally ready for testing. The weapon could strike targets anywhere in the galaxy instantly, ignoring the normal laws of physics. "Doctor, the field test results are promising," said his assistant, Dr. Maria Santos. "We can target enemy ships with pinpoint accuracy across interstellar distances." Johnson wiped sweat from his forehead. "How many torpedoes do we have ready?" 50, sir. Not enough to destroy their entire fleet. but enough to make a significant impact on their command structure. It will have to be enough. Begin loading the torpedo tubes. Target the alien command ships first. The alien attack began exactly as planned. 300 Council ships dropped out of hyperspace at 17 different human colonies simultaneously. The aliens expected to find isolated, defenseless settlements. Instead, they found prepared defenses and coordinated resistance. At the colony of New Texas, Admiral Patricia Clark commanded the orbital defense platforms. The moment the alien ships appeared, she received instant updates from every other human settlement under attack. She knew exactly where each alien fleet was positioned and how strong their forces were. All platforms, focus fire on the Velkari. Dreadnoughts, Clark ordered. Intelligence reports they're carrying the heavy bombardment weapons. The defense platforms opened fire with concentrated energy beams targeting the largest alien ships first. At the same time, Clark received a message from Captain Brown, who was attacking the alien supply depot in the Rigel system. Admiral, this is Thunder. We've destroyed 3 ammunition convoys and 2 fuel stations. The aliens are going to run short on supplies very quickly. Similar reports came in from across human space. The aliens had expected to face 17 separate battles. Instead, they found themselves fighting a coordinated enemy that shared information instantly and struck their weak points simultaneously. On the Council flagship, Strategic Coordinator Vex Hari watched his carefully planned attack fall apart. How are the humans coordinating their defense? Our intelligence said they had no faster-than-light communication. Sir, somehow they know about our attacks on other systems before we report them ourselves, replied his tactical officer. They're repositioning their forces to counter our movements in real time. The first quantum torpedo struck without warning. The massive Thaxian command ship simply vanished in a flash of energy, taking Admiral Kulvex and his entire staff with it. Seconds later, 2 more Council command vessels were destroyed by weapons that seemed to come from nowhere. Panic spread through the alien fleet. They were used to fighting enemies who reacted slowly to changing situations. The humans seemed to anticipate their every move, striking weak points and avoiding traps with uncanny precision. Captain Matt Davis, commanding the battleship Liberty, led a counterattack against the alien fleet at the Proxima colony. His ships used the same hit-and-run tactics that had worked at New Dakota, but now they were coordinated with similar attacks across the galaxy. All ships, concentrate fire on their communication arrays, Davis ordered. If we can blind them, they can't coordinate their attacks. The Liberty's guns targeted the alien command ships, destroying their communication systems and leaving entire squadrons without orders. At the same time, Davis received tactical updates from other human commanders, allowing him to anticipate alien movements before they happened. By the end of the first day, the alien offensive had completely stalled. Despite their overwhelming numbers, the Council fleets found themselves outmaneuvered and outfought at every turn. The humans had turned what should have been 17 separate defeats into one coordinated victory. Supreme Counselor Zarthok received the battle reports in his private chamber. The numbers were devastating. Over 60 alien ships destroyed, with minimal human casualties. The greatest military operation in Council history had become a humiliating disaster. How can this be? He asked his aide. We had superior numbers, superior technology, and superior positioning. How are these primitive humans defeating us? The aide, a young crystalline named Kextar, hesitated before speaking. Sir, perhaps our assumptions about human capabilities were incorrect. They appear to have developed technologies and tactics we did not anticipate. The final battle for Nexus Central began at dawn on a Tuesday. Supreme Counselor Zarthok stood in his command center, watching the approaching human fleet on the main display. 30 ships had come to end his empire, led by Admiral Patricia Clark aboard the flagship Enterprise. Zarthok was an ancient being over 400 years old, and he had ruled the galaxy for most of that time. His skin was gray and wrinkled, his eyes yellow with age, but his mind was still sharp. He would not surrender without a fight. Deploy all remaining ships, he ordered his military commander, Fleet Admiral Kexavar. If we are to fall, we will take as many humans with us as possible. The Council's last fleet consisted of 50 ships, mostly Velkari and crystalline vessels, that had remained loyal to the old regime. They were outnumbered, but Nexus Central itself was a fortress with massive defense platforms and energy shields. Admiral Clark studied the enemy positions from her command chair. The Enterprise was humanity's newest and most powerful warship, equipped with every technological advantage they had developed during the war. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the enemy flagship," reported Communications Officer Dan Miller. "Put it through," Clark said. Supreme Counselor Zarthok appeared on the main screen, his ancient face twisted with hatred. "Admiral Clark, you have brought chaos to a galaxy that knew peace for thousands of years. Surrender now, and I may show mercy to your species." Clark stood up, her uniform crisp and her bearing confident. She was a career military officer who had worked her way up from lieutenant to admiral through skill and determination. "Counselor Zarthok, your empire was built on oppression and fear. The galaxy is finally free, and we're here to make sure it stays that way. This is your last chance to surrender." Zarthok's laugh was bitter and cold. "Surrender? I am the Supreme Counselor of the Galactic Empire. I do not surrender to primitive mammals who learned to fly between stars less than a century ago." Transmission ended and both fleets began moving into attack positions. But this battle would be different from all the others. Humanity was no longer fighting alone. Captain Roy Adams, commanding the cruiser Freedom, led a squadron of mixed human and alien ships. Former Council species fought alongside their human liberators, finally able to strike back against their oppressors. "Captain Adams, this is Commander Veltara of the Merkai Liberation Fleet," came a voice over the communication system. "My ships are ready to support your attack." "Understood, Commander. Target their orbital defense platforms. We need to clear a path for the boarding assault." The battle began with a coordinated strike against Nexus Central's defenses. Human quantum torpedoes destroyed 3 defense platforms instantly, while Merkai ships used their superior speed to avoid return fire. Captain Greg Turner, commanding Earth's orbital defense grid back in the Sol system, coordinated the final phase of humanity's master plan. While the fleet attacked Nexus Central, he was preparing for the enemy's last desperate gambit. "Captain, our deep space sensors are detecting an enemy fleet heading for Earth," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Amy Foster. 30 ships, mostly heavy cruisers. Turner smiled grimly. They had expected this. Zarthok would try to destroy humanity's homeworld as his final act of revenge, but Earth was ready. The approaching Council fleet found itself facing the most heavily defended system in galactic history. Automated defense platforms, weapon satellites, and minefields surrounded Earth like a shell of steel and energy. Captain Jerry Walsh, leading the enemy attack fleet, had volunteered for what everyone knew was a suicide mission. "All ships target the 3rd planet. If we cannot rule the galaxy, we will at least remove the human pest from it." His ships opened fire on Earth's defenses, but their weapons had no effect. The orbital platforms absorbed the energy blasts and returned fire with weapons that made the alien guns look like toys. Within minutes, half the attacking fleet was destroyed. The rest tried to retreat, but they found themselves trapped in a carefully designed kill zone. Captain Turner's defenses had been built specifically to handle this exact situation. Back at Nexus Central, the main battle was reaching its climax. Admiral Clark had successfully landed Marines on the space station, led by Colonel Frank Roberts and his assault team. "Admiral, this is Roberts. We've secured the main docking bay and are moving toward the command center," came the report over the communication system. Zarthok's ancient eyes burned with anger. The Council's 6 months had passed since the Council's failed invasion, and the galaxy had changed completely. Human ships now patrolled systems that had been under alien control for thousands of years. What started as a defensive war had become something much bigger. Captain Matt Davis stood on the bridge of the battleship Liberty, watching Xerion Prime grow larger on the main screen. The massive space station had been the Council's primary military base for over a century. Now it was humanity's next target. "Captain, stealth systems are active," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from her station. "The enemy sensors cannot detect us." Davis nodded. The new stealth technology had been developed by Dr. Jennifer Brooks and her team on Luna. Human ships could now approach enemy positions without being seen, striking before the aliens knew they were there. Signal the fleet. Begin attack formation Omega, Davis ordered. 20 human ships moved through space like ghosts, invisible to the alien detection systems. They had learned much about Council technology by studying captured vessels. The aliens had powerful weapons and strong shields, but their sensors were designed to detect large, obvious threats. On Zerion Prime, Station Commander Thok Maven reviewed the daily security reports. The massive alien looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, with thick armor plating covering his body. He had commanded this station for 20 years without ever facing a serious threat. "Sir, all perimeter patrols report normal status," said his aide, a smaller alien with 6 arms and bulging eyes. "No sign of human activity in this sector." Thokmaven grunted his approval. The humans had been causing trouble in the outer systems, but Zerion Prime was deep in Council territory. The station was protected by 50 warships and orbital defense, platforms that could destroy entire fleets. "Maintain standard alert status," he ordered. "The humans are too cowardly to attack a target this well defended." He was wrong. At that moment, Captain Davis was positioning his ships for a coordinated strike. The Liberty and her escorts had studied the station's defenses for weeks, looking for weaknesses in the alien security. Commander Rachel Torres, aboard the cruiser Vigilant, had found the key. "Captain Davis, I'm detecting a gap in their sensor. Coverage near the North Pole. Their defense platforms create a blind spot approximately 2 kilometers wide." "Understood, Torres. Take your squadron through that gap and hit their communication center. We need to cut off their ability to call for help." The Vigilant and 3 escort ships slipped through the sensor gap like smoke. The alien defenders never saw them coming. When Torres opened fire, the station's main communication array disappeared in a ball of plasma. Station Commander Thok Maven felt his command center shake as explosions rocked the communication section. Alarms started blaring throughout the massive structure. "What is happening?" he roared at his tactical officer. "Sir, we are under attack. Multiple human ships have penetrated our defenses. Communication systems are offline." Thok Maven could not believe what he was hearing. "Impossible. Our sensors would have detected any approaching fleet. The humans appear to be using some form of stealth technology. Our sensors show empty space, but our defense platforms are being destroyed." Captain Troy Jackson, commanding the experimental ship Horizon, had been waiting for this moment. His vessel carried the newest human technology, including tractor beam projectors that could capture enemy ships intact. "Target the Council cruiser Vengeance," Jackson ordered. "I want that ship captured, not destroyed." The Horizon's tractor beams locked onto the alien cruiser, holding it in place while boarding pods launched from hidden compartments. Human Marines led by Sergeant Bill Cooper stormed onto the alien ship. The Council crew had never faced human soldiers in close combat. The aliens were used to formal, ritualized warfare where opponents followed established rules. The humans fought like wild animals, using every dirty trick they could think of. Sergeant Cooper and his team moved through the alien ship with deadly efficiency. They used flash grenades to blind the defenders, smoke grenades to create confusion, and explosive charges to breach sealed doors. Within 30 minutes, they had control of the entire vessel. "Captain Jackson, this is Cooper. Ship is secured. We have prisoners and access to their computer systems." The captured data was a treasure trove of information. For the first time, humans had complete access to Council military databases, star charts, and communication codes. What they found was shocking. Dr. Lisa Grant, now serving as Fleet Intelligence Officer, analyzed the alien data from her command ship. She had been studying Council technology since the war began, but this information revealed secrets she had never imagined. "Admiral Kane, you need to see this," she said over the quantum communication link. "The Council is not as unified as we thought." Admiral Kane appeared on her screen from his headquarters on Earth. "What did you find, Doctor?" "The member species are held together by fear, not loyalty. Most of them joined the Council because they were threatened with destruction if they refused. The Velkari Empire and the Crystalline Hegemony control the others through intimidation." "Are you saying some of them might be willing to change sides?" More than that, sir. Several species have been secretly plotting against the Council leadership for decades. They've been waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the established order. This intelligence changed everything. Human commanders began reaching out to the oppressed species within Council territory. Captain Nicole Brown, whose fast ships had been disrupting alien supply lines, made contact with rebel groups on a dozen different worlds. "This is Captain Brown of the human fleet," she broadcast on hidden frequencies. "We know about your situation. We're not here to conquer your worlds. We're here to free them." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Entire star systems declared independence from the Council and asked for human protection. Species that had been slaves for centuries saw humanity as their chance for freedom. On the water world of Aquatica, the native Merkai people rose up against their Velkari overlords. They had been forced to harvest rare minerals from their ocean floors for over 300 years. When human ships arrived, they welcomed them as liberators. Commander Paul Davis, no relation to Captain Matt Davis, led the liberation fleet to Aquatica. His ships found the Velkari garrison in complete chaos, with the local population in open revolt. "This is Commander Davis to all Merkai freedom fighters. Human reinforcements have arrived. We're here to help you drive out the oppressors." The battle for Aquatica was over in hours. The Velkari troops, faced with both human military forces and an entire planet in rebellion, surrendered without putting up serious resistance. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The Council's empire was collapsing as oppressed species threw off their chains and joined the human cause. What had begun as humanity's struggle for survival had become a galactic revolution. Fleet Admiral Quintessa watched the reports coming in from across Council space. World after world was declaring independence. Entire fleets were defecting to the human side. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was falling apart. "Admiral, we have lost contact with 67 star systems in the past week alone," reported her aide. "The rebellion is spreading faster than we can contain it." Quintessa's crystalline skin showed deep blue patterns of despair. "How many ships do we have left under Council control?" "Fewer than 100, Admiral. Most of our member species have either joined the humans or declared neutrality." The irony was not lost on her. The Council had tried to contain humanity, to prevent them from disrupting galactic stability. Instead, their actions had triggered the greatest upheaval in galactic history. On Earth, President Carter addressed the United Nations Assembly, but now her audience included representatives from dozens of alien species. The chamber had been expanded to accommodate different environmental needs, with water tanks for aquatic species and atmospheric controls for those who breathed different gases. "Fellow beings," she began, "we stand at a turning point in galactic history. The old order of oppression and fear is ending. In its place, we will build something better, a confederation based on freedom and mutual respect." The applause came from 100 different species, each expressing approval in their own way. Some clicked, others hummed, and a few communicated through color changes in their skin. Dr. Alex Johnson, whose quantum torpedoes had helped turn the tide of war, now worked on peaceful applications of the technology. His new project involved instant transportation of goods and people across interstellar distances. "If we can teleport a torpedo anywhere in the galaxy," he explained to his research team, "we should be able to teleport a medical supply shipment just as easily." The technology promised to revolutionize trade and communication across the galaxy. Species that had been isolated for centuries could now exchange knowledge and resources instantly. As Part 4 ended, humanity stood at the center of a growing alliance of free worlds. The Galactic Council's military power was broken, their empire in ruins, but the final confrontation was still to come. Supreme Counselor Zarthok and his remaining loyalists had retreated to Nexus Central, the heavily fortified capital of the Council. From there, they planned one last desperate gambit to destroy humanity and restore their crew. The fighting inside Nexus Central was fierce. Council troops made their last stand in the corridors and chambers where they had ruled the galaxy for centuries. But human Marines, supported by alien freedom fighters, pushed forward room by room. Dr. Lisa Grant, now serving as a field scientist, accompanied the assault team to secure the Council's central computer systems. The data contained in those computers would reveal the locations of secret facilities and hidden fleets throughout the galaxy. "Colonel Roberts, I need 10 minutes to download their entire database," she called out as explosions echoed through the station. "You've got it, Doc. Hold this position," Roberts ordered his troops. Supreme Counselor Zarthok made his final stand in the council chamber itself, surrounded by his most loyal guards. When the human Marines broke through the doors, he was sitting in his ancient throne, defiant to the end. "You may have won this battle," he said to Colonel Roberts, "but you will never be able to rule the galaxy. It is too big, too complex, too diverse for any single species to control." Roberts lowered his weapon. "You're right, Counselor. That's why we're not going to rule it. We're going to free it." The old alien's eyes widened in surprise. In all his centuries of life, he had never considered that a victorious species might choose freedom over conquest. The surrender of Nexus Central marked the end of the Galactic Council's empire. President Carter, now leading a delegation of representatives from 40 different species, arrived to oversee the transition to a new form of government. The Treaty of Terra, signed in the ruins of the Council Chamber, established the Galactic Federation. Unlike the old empire, membership was voluntary. Species could join or leave freely, and decisions were made by democratic vote rather than imperial decree. Ambassador Susan Wright, humanity's chief diplomat, worked with alien representatives to create a new constitution. The document guaranteed freedom of travel, trade, and communication throughout the galaxy. "This federation will be different," Wright explained to the assembled delegates. "We're not here to replace one empire with another. We're here to make sure that every species has the right to determine its own future." Dr. Alex Johnson's transportation technology revolutionized galactic commerce. Goods and people could now move instantly between star systems, breaking down the barriers that had isolated species for millennia. Captain Matt Davis, hero of many battles, was given command of the new Federation Navy. His mission was not conquest, but protection, ensuring that no new empire could rise to oppress the free worlds. "Captain Davis, your orders are simple," Admiral Kane told him. "Keep the peace, protect the innocent, and never let anyone forget that freedom is worth fighting for." The galaxy began to change in ways no one had imagined. Species that had been enemies for centuries started working together on scientific projects. Trade routes that had been closed for millennia reopened. Art, music, and literature flowed freely between worlds. Dr. Jennifer Brooks established the Galactic Research Institute, where scientists from hundreds of species worked together to push the boundaries of knowledge. The Institute's first project was developing faster-than-light travel that would make the galaxy seem as small as a single star system. On New Dakota, Governor Linda Hayes oversaw the construction of the Federation's new capital. The city was designed to accommodate every known form of life, with environments ranging from Arctic cold to tropical heat, from high gravity to zero gravity. Captain Steve Rogers, the man who had first defied the Council's ultimatum, was given a new mission. He commanded exploration fleets that ventured beyond the galaxy's edge, making contact with new civilizations and inviting them to join the growing Federation. "Captain Rogers to Federation Command," came his report from the edge of known space. "We've made contact with 3 new species. They're interested in joining our alliance, transmitting first contact protocols now." The galaxy that had once been ruled by fear was now governed by hope. Children from dozens of different species learned together in integrated schools, while their parents worked side by side building a better future. President Carter, now in her second term as Federation President, stood before the Galactic Assembly to deliver her annual address. The chamber was filled with representatives from over 100 species, all working together toward common goals. 2 years ago, the Galactic Council gave humanity an ultimatum, she began. "They told us to abandon our dreams and accept their limitations. Instead, we chose to fight for something better." She looked out at the diverse audience, seeing beings of every imaginable shape and form united in their commitment to freedom. Today, that ultimatum seems like a gift. It forced us to show the galaxy that there was another way to live, another way to govern, Another way to reach for the stars. The Council's ultimatum did not destroy humanity. It freed the galaxy. The applause that followed came from 100 different species, each expressing joy in their own unique way. The sound echoed through the chamber and out into space. We